I want to make it clear right off the top. I'm not questioning anyone's mental toughness or mental fortitude on this podcast whatsoever. But I do sort of feel like not just the point guard, if you will, Dani, Sureck, Darren, Urban, Paulie podcast here. I feel like maybe like the support group leader, if you will, if needed, and if you do, it just means you care. So I searched up here, to be an effective support group leader, what do you need? The skill set combines elements of supportive, democratic, and facilitative styles, focusing on creating a safe environment, empowering members here rather than directing them. Being supportive prioritizes member welfare and emotional needs. So hopefully by the time we're done with Cardinals Underground, you'll be able to check all those boxes basically on my performance review.
Are you Matt Foley, motivational speaker here?
It's a good one.
I'm waiting.
That's right after the cowbell. That's 2 weeks in a row.
That's true.
Ancient SNL.
There you go.
Where's Gershman? Does he know about? Does he
No.
better know about Matt Foley?
He probably doesn't.
You know what? The light was on for Zach. Not anymore.
I'm glad you're here for us, Paul, because really, what would we do without you?
Well, exactly. That's okay. That was a little snarky, a little snide comment there.
I don't know what you're talking
that was
about.
out the side of his mouth, Dani. I mean, come on. There's two kinds of people during the bye week. You either need or you shun the support group. I mean, which side are you on right there?
I know. I'm truly just at a loss of words. I didn't know I fell into either of those categories. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how we started this.
Okay. I'm just trying to deal with 5 straight losses by 13 points. It's emotionally draining.
Not each, by the way. That would be 13 total points. Yeah.
Did I not say the word total?
Well, you said 13
total points.
Okay.
Hopefully I said that. And look, you guys are in the locker room. I was adjacent to the locker room doing the post-game radio interviews.
Locker room adjacent.
So whatever that area is, work with me, Darren.
Sorry.
Okay, and you tell me. I mean, diagnose the vibe, the mood, because very few people ever set foot in the Cardinals locker room. I mean, what did you find upon entry?
The one thing that sticks with me, I mean, obviously they're not happy. I can't get past Calais Campbell talking about things in the group, and Calais, who would never wanting to do this, almost dropping a foul word at one point and then catching himself. You don't even know exactly what foul word it would have been because he caught himself fast enough, but he did catch himself because he was basically saying, somebody said what exactly needs to happen, and I think he wanted to say we have to make the plays when it's time to make the plays, except I think he was going to drop an adjective in there somewhere.
He was going to punctuate it with a certain word.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's
understandable.
When Calais Campbell gets that way, then that's he's the old wise soul that puts everything in perspective, but I think even he is starting to get a little frustrated. That said, and we won't see them this week, but last week after 4 losses, I am remarkably pleased by how they've been able to handle this. And I know not everybody's going to be happy to hear that, but when Jonathan Gannon talks about moving past things and thinking about the next game, I truly believe they are able to do that on Wednesdays.
Yeah, on the Monday after this latest loss, when asked about adversity, and Jonathan Gannon cited, quote, the fabric of people in the locker room, how they vet draft picks and free agent signees. And then he went on to say, and I'm looking at the quote right here, I told him today, if we didn't have good team first guys, I'd tell you flat out, we'd be in trouble. We would. Because I've had experiences where we didn't have the fabric of what we have here and it didn't go well. Later he used the word mercenaries. Like if you have a locker room full of mercenaries and guys on 1-year contracts just looking out for themselves, and things can go south in a hurry. And Dani, I think we talked about this on the pregame show a little bit, and that was even after loss number 4 in a row by 4 points or less, going into the locker room, right? After Tennessee, after Indianapolis, and then you walk into the locker room and look, we've been in a lot of locker rooms and weren't nearly as upbeat and positive as that scene.
Not in a way that the players are not upset about their performances, upset about the final outcome of games. The reality is, though, they mean it when they say you have 24 hours to flush the game and move forward. You cannot allow a game to beat you twice. And you want to see a locker room that still has energy, that still has belief in each other and what they are trying to accomplish. Because once you lose that, once you lose the belief and the camaraderie and the support within each other in the locker room, that is very tough to get back. It is good to see that the locker room has not lost their step. There is still energy in practice, because the reality is there is a lot of football still to be played. There have been teams who have started 2-5 and turned it around and made the playoffs. Now, the Cardinals have plenty to work on, absolutely, but you want to see a team that is still sticking together and is still positive. And look around the league, you see teams, even when they're winning, when players in the locker room are not happy about the targets they're getting or how they're being used in a scheme, they make it very clear. And that's not something that is ever received well in the locker room. So Gannon is absolutely right that it is important to have team-first players with that mentality, and that's what they have built on this team.
The biggest question to me coming out of the bye, and it's the same question we've posed after every single game, win or lose, is just the word finish. And it is a remarkable stat that the Cardinals' point differential on the year is the same point differential as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're both -1 point differential on the year. One team is 5-2, the other is 2-5, because the Cardinals' point differential in the fourth quarter, brace yourself, is -47. So when we've talked this last month about what's correctable and what's concerning, and we've put most everything into the correctable column, the whole fourth quarter thing at this point, if there's no solution, if there's no audible that you can call, and you can't reset, reboot, remedy, whatever you want to do, the whole fourth quarter thing is leaning into the much more into the concerning column than correctable, considering it's happened 5 games in a row.
It's funny, that same interview with Calais after the game, somebody said, what needs to change? And he said, just make one play in the fourth quarter. He goes, that nothing else has to change. And there's a lot to that. Now, again, you could put yourself in positions to not have it come down to that if you do some other things. And that's the part of, like, you're right. The fourth quarter needs to change.
Yes.
There is no question, because that's what's front and center. However, you could have, in theory, done nothing different in the fourth quarter, but if you don't give up a field goal right before halftime, you win, because you're probably kicking a field goal on that last drive. You see what I'm saying?
Or what Paris Johnson Jr. said a couple of weeks ago, why does it have to be close?
Yes.
How about a blowout going into the fourth quarter, or a 3-score lead going into the fourth quarter?
Let me tell you something, Paul.
Okay.
As somebody who has to
Here we go.
write something on deadline, as soon as the game's over, you want to have something up. Now, this is way worse on road games, because I'm downstairs and you only have so much time after a game and it's all chaos, as opposed to just being able to sit in the press box, get something done, and then walk downstairs to calmly be in the press conference. Way different. However, on a very personal note, and let's make no bones about this. This is about me. I would really like the Cardinals to pull away in a game, and we could just go ahead and have a calm end of game, and rather than scrambling to every week where I feel like I'm writing something and I don't even have to write that much right after the game. And even that little bit has to get ripped up or changed or over and over and over, because it's in that last 30 seconds. I mean, it's thrilling for the television audience.
Sure.
Even the wins have been close. Week 1 in New Orleans, they needed that one play in the fourth quarter, second to last play of the game, and the Cardinals defense delivered. That was an incredible pass breakup, a tag team of DBs, Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. They've been that close in their 5 losses. Interesting enough, fourth quarter has been the problem in all 5 of those losses, yet every loss is still unique. San Francisco was self-inflicted wounds by the Cardinals. That was an offensive struggle, that game. Seattle was a little different. Now Tennessee was all self-inflicted. That's a team.
Yep.
That's a bad team in the league, right?
I forgot about that game. What happened in that game?
But then you look at the last two, the Indianapolis Colts and the Green Bay Packers, who are two of the better teams in the league, and the Cardinals were not just hanging in there. They were leading those games at times. So this is a team that can do it. They are just a few plays away, which is what's so frustrating. The Cardinals are not getting blown out of the water. You really are a few plays away, and that's the difference in the NFL.
I also had some people, mailbag's been interesting the last couple of weeks. Whether you want to talk about it's the offense and the quarterbacks, or you want to talk about the defense, I mean, it's an equal opportunities here. Like, yes, if the offense does things differently at times, if the quarterback does things differently at times, would they have won these games? Yes. But in every case, you could say the same thing about the defense, and vice versa. Like, the defense could be coming up with these stops at end of games and they're winning them, but if the offense does something different, so I have a hard time sitting there going, it's this or that. It's an amalgamation. Look it up.
Good one. Look, a month ago or so we were talking about what was ailing this team. Ailing this team was the one player taking his one turn to make his one mistake. So it's hard to identify any pattern or any single thing that needed to be corrected. At this point, to your point, Darren, about how it's been the offense has been the defense, vice versa, and it bounces around, I've come up with the following theory, and I advanced this with Wolf on Monday after the game.
Is this a hot take?
The formula for finishing, if we're looking for the elusive answer to how to finish, you need finishers. You need Micah Parsons. You need Josh Jacobs. They finished the game. Those players. To Dani's point, in week 1, it was Buddha and Jalen Thompson. In week 2, the win against Carolina, it was the 4th down sack by Calais Campbell. Finishing, right? If we want to go old school with old Saturday Night Live skits, how about the old movie Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross?
Yes.
Always be closing.
Yes.
ABC. You're a sales guy. You got to be closing at the end. That's what good NFL teams do, because most of these games are close, which was part of the point Calais was making at his locker.
Yes.
So who's going to be that guy with a game on the line? Now, James Conner was a finisher. Right? He had a nice track record of being the finisher in the fourth quarter. James will lead the way. He'll start breaking tackles and breaking face masks and just get behind James Conner. Now, Trey McBride has done his part, no doubt about that. But who's the guy going to get to the quarterback with the game on the line? I think the other thing I think of, and what's been a constant, is when other teams have had game-winning scores, game-winning drives, their quarterback has had way too much time versus the Cardinals quarterback, whether it's Kyler or Jacoby Brissett, has been under duress, has been getting hit and harassed. And those are the things that, at least thematically, if you're trying to identify, because once again, it can be tough when it's a different thing by different players in different games, but I think those are constants. Those are the two constants that I have seen through 7 games this year.
The rushing coverage for the defense needs to be a tighter marriage. You need more consistency between good coverage and a pass rush. And at times we have seen the pass rush sparkle, right? Like we saw flashes of it against the Packers. Zaven Collins has looked pretty good with some nice moves out there. Baron Browning and Josh Sweat. I mean, those 3 are getting to the quarterback. It's just not consistent enough. With the exception of Calais Campbell, nobody up front is getting to the quarterback. You need more pressure. Whereas quarterback Jacoby Brissett had a hand in his face on truly almost every play. He was pressured more than 50% of his dropbacks. So the Cardinals defense needs to be generating the pressure that their offense is facing. And to have better rushes, right, you need tighter coverage. You're forcing the quarterback to hang on the ball, go through all of his reads. Again, you're close, but now you're 7 weeks into the season, and you still need more.
I said this on Red Sea Report. See, if you heard this already, I apologize. But Craig Grelu and Rob Fredrickson on the drive home, the postgame radio show, they gave their defensive player of the game to Calais Campbell. And I'm in the car, and I'm pounding the steering wheel. That's not ideal. Calais Campbell's supposed to be a role player.
Yeah.
He's 39. He's in season 18. He's supposed to be every bit as much a teacher and a mentor and a leader as he is a difference maker. And so ideally, a Josh Sweat, a Darius Robinson, even a Bilal Nichols, big money free agent from 2 years ago. These are the guys you want to be your defensive player of the game. And so, okay, can that emerge? Can a Walter Nolan III be a spark if he's coming and making his debut on Monday Night Football 2 Mondays from now? I don't know. But once again, it just seems like a guy who was supposed to be a role player has been more like the lead singer, not the cowbell guy.
Well, let me ask you this. What about the thought of, instead of having Mack Wilson Sr. as your Mike all the time, last year Wilson was playing off the edge quite a bit. We have not really seen that with the role change. Can Akeem Davis-Gaither play more of that middle linebacker role, and maybe you can have Wilson off the edge a little more? Maybe that's something when we hear that the coaches and players all have homework throughout the bye week and they're going to be looking at things. Maybe that's one of the things is where can we generate some more pass rush?
It's really interesting you say that, because on the Red Sea Report, you know what Rob Fredrickson offered up? Blitzing Mack Wilson Sr. more. The times we've seen Mack Wilson Sr. just go seek and destroy from the inside linebacker position, he's been really good. He did some of that in the preseason, made starters for Kansas City look stupid. He spent the second half of last season coming off the edge, like Dani said. I mean, pound for pound, he's one of your better pass rushers on this team.
And he said that all last year, that he feels like he's way better than people would ever give him credit for. It's interesting because you mentioned blitzing, and the Cardinals don't do a whole lot of that, and they haven't through 7 games. I'm fascinated, and Dani kind of brought it up, like when Jonathan Gannon talks about the homework, and some of it was self-reflection and what we can be better at and everything. I am curious to see what kind of tweaks that could happen, especially defensively. And I don't want to get too much into Dallas because we're going to have a whole nother podcast before the Cardinals go to Dallas. But very quickly, like defensively, you better be ready for that game because the Cowboys are very, very good offensively.
I know that it's somewhat moot because the Cardinals lost the game to Tennessee, but the week prior was when we had heard from Gannon that they were going to be making tweaks and adjustments. And on the weekly TV show that we do with him, Paul, Cardinals Game Plan, Gannon had specified a little more that it would be things that we might not be able to see with our naked eye, of the wide receiver splits, maybe some of the tempo, those kinds of changes. And remember, that was a hot offensive start. Cardinals scored on both of their first 2 drives. So if we're hearing that they're going to continue to look and work on things, like I believe that we're going to see some changes.
And what has he said each of the last 2 weeks on camera? He said that he hasn't been real happy with how the back end is married up with the front end.
Which is what Dani was mentioning earlier, and that makes a lot of sense.
So I might be over my skis right here, but Calvisi Consulting, may I offer, if you have Max Melton and Will Johnson, and they have half a season or so under their belt now, especially the rookie, and they had a lot of experience in college playing press man, instead of going predominantly zone coverages where maybe you're giving receivers a little too much space and maybe it's not syncing up as well, especially going against CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens.
I was going to say, I don't know if this is that game.
I get it. You got to give him some help over the top. I get it. But if you're trying to take away the quick passing game, which negates your pass rush, and you're trying to get the quarterback to hold on to the ball a little more, maybe you get a little more aggressive with your outside corners.
I mean, I shouldn't even be bringing this up because we're 2 weeks out from now, but it will be interesting to see once the team regroups from the bye week where cornerback Garrett Williams is at in his recovery from his knee injury, because he remains on injured reserve. He's missed 5 games now. It's the minimum 4. So if he's healthy enough and the Cardinals are able to open up his 21-day practice window, if he's healthy enough, he is smart enough and he's experienced enough to where he doesn't need the full 21 days to mentally make sure he's ready to go on game day. So that's absolutely a name to keep an eye on when the team regroups after the bye week.
For example, on 4th and 2, and they complete the 15-yarder to Tucker Kraft. What if Garrett Williams was on the field? What if Garrett Williams was in coverage against Tucker Kraft on the touchdown pass instead of Josh Sweat?
On the 4th and 2, I'm not sure Garrett is going to be ready for that shoulder dip thing, which was a really good play. And honestly, I do not think it should have drawn a flag. It was just a good football play.
News alert, Trey McBride does that all the time.
Yes.
Okay. What doesn't happen all the time is us getting cultured with Dani. Dani, we'll segue to you.
Getting Cultured with Dani. It is not just directed at Paul.
Am I the default uncultured Philistine around here?
Yes.
You got me very excited now.
I am on social media and consume more pop culture than both of you combined.
I think I'm being unfairly profiled, but go ahead.
Let's go. I've been meaning to bring this one up on Getting Cultured.
Uh-oh.
The UNC documentary with Hulu has been pulled. It was announced in August there was a plan to collab, and then 2 months later, Hulu pulled the plug. So they were going to cover Bill Belichick's first season as the head coach at UNC, and now it's going to be a movie at the end of the football season, but it's no longer going to be the documentary. Hulu's not going to be involved, is my understanding. Hulu wanted more personal life coverage. And who do you think shut that down, Paul?
Yeah. The consultant,
His
the
girlfriend,
25-year-old
Jordan
consultant.
Hudson.
Yes.
And then, of course, as this is all coming out, there were some leaks about Belichick's Hot Mike sitting down for an interview, and Jordan was not agreeing with his takes for the keys to the game on the bullet points he had listed. Is, Belichick had on there, keep him out of the end zone. And she was saying, well, that's implied. And he was saying, well, they're going to move the ball down the field. You want to force him to kick the ball for a field goal and not score a touchdown. They were going back and forth, and she got her way.
She's intervening on football matters?
It was going to be an interview, and they were going to talk about keys to the game, and she didn't like that one of his keys was keep him out of the end zone because that's implied.
She's advising/admonishing him on football matters?
Hot Mike.
Yes.
Wow. I did miss that. Maybe because
that's the whole point of this segment.
Maybe.
That's why I'm here, Paul.
Maybe I was too preoccupied by the fact that my alma mater almost lost to Belichick last Friday night. But what they're calling that play at the goal line? The clutch punch.
Oh,
clutch punch where the player came out and knocked it out.
You can't get closer to losing a game than that.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Don't hang it in the Louvre. There was a heist in broad daylight in
this
Paris.
one I saw.
I did not.
You didn't see this.
I'm getting cultured.
There were stolen jewels.
I've been to the Louvre, though.
Stolen jewels worn by French royalty. So the thieves, dressed up as construction workers, broad daylight, used a crane lift and a chainsaw to break into the Louvre and stole jewels. So far, authorities have only found 2 pieces that they must have dropped on their way
I saw
out.
that movie. It wasn't that good.
Well,
Mark Wahlberg was in it.
This is Ocean's 14.
Yeah, they posed as construction workers, and it took them all of 4 minutes to get in and out. So there's a construction worker in like a yellow vest and a hard hat drilling into the case with this, this jewelry that's 300 years old, and nobody thought otherwise because they thought he was working on the case.
And by the time authorities realized, they were out of there.
Damn.
Yeah.
In similar news, a Pablo Picasso painting worth $650,000 was stolen on its way to a Spanish art museum. There was a van carrying dozens of pieces to the museum, and 3 days later, when the crates were opened, dun-dun, the painting had vanished. It's a small painting of about 5 inches by just under 4 inches, and authorities say there was an unscheduled overnight stop. However, boat drivers claim that they took turns sleeping in or near the van to keep watch.
Sure. I just would, you mentioned Pablo Picasso. And this is a failure on my part.
Okay.
But
gonna have to narrow that down.
Fair. Oof. I was pretty old before I realized that my lifespan and Pablo Picasso's lifespan overlapped. I always think, okay, this dude is from like the 1800s, which he technically is. He was born, but he didn't die until 1973, for goodness sake.
Oh, wow.
So they knew what they were looking for. There were a bunch of paintings in the van, but they left the dogs playing poker on velvet, and then they took the Picasso.
Which I heard was Picasso's favorite.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
You've both been cultured. You're
All right.
welcome.
Yes, we have.
I got both of you on that. That's great.
A lot of art heists.
I know.
Okay.
Goodness gracious.
Gotta be careful.
Okay.
But if you're able to pull off an art heist in broad daylight, what's off limit these days?
First of all, I always wonder about this stuff. It's like, okay, you get this painting that's worth a ton, or you get these jewels that are worth a ton. And don't get me wrong, I realize there's a black market out there in the world, but it would seem so difficult to offload those things and not have it get tracked back to you. I just think that, Hans Gruber and the Barabons, it just makes more sense to me.
In Ocean's 8, they did a really good job taking apart the jewels and then making them into earrings and necklaces and getting a whole bunch of other things made.
Was the Hans Gruber Die Hard? Was that Die Hard?
Yes.
It was Die Hard.
Yes, it was. I'm surprised.
All right.
You looked at me like
All right.
you knew, Paul. You
I sort of did.
You should have just left
I didn't
it there.
have quite the guts to, blurt it out in the moment. So, okay. Let's see here. The sheet, the game plan says quarterback. We don't know who's going to be quarterback for sure in the next game that comes around. All we know is the head coach maintains if Kyler Murray is healthy, he is the quarterback. What have you seen out of Jacoby Brissett? Anything you've seen out of Jacoby Brissett that feasibly, viably, maybe Kyler Murray watched and could incorporate? I was saying, look, one thing Kyler Murray has not had in his career, he's been starter since day one, K1, QB1, number 1 pick overall, starter right out of the gate, never had a chance. Even like Drake May had 5 games last year to sit behind Jacoby Brissett in New England. Kyler Murray was never afforded that privilege. So is there a possibility that maybe Kyler was on the sideline, and I spent most of the last 2 games standing behind QB1, and he's watching Jacoby Brissett execute a Drew Petzing offense and do it, with a lot of experience and knowledge going back to their Cleveland days. I can't tell you how much time they spend on the sideline in between possessions, Drew Petzing and Jacoby Brissett, seemingly just drawing it up in the dirt, like looking at the play sheet and saying, okay, I like this, I like that, throw this out, we're going to adjust that. So, there's a lot of collaboration going on in that sideline.
I mean, you hope. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly what's been going on in these meetings. I don't know exactly the conversations that's going on. I mean, it's factually they're different quarterbacks. There's only so much crossover in my head that they're going to do. Just like if you go into a game and you are expecting Jacoby Brissett to get, 5 off-scheduled rushes for 8 to 10 yards, you're probably not going to get those. So I do think that needs to be taken into account. But it has looked good with Jacoby. The fact that you can get a backup quarterback to come in and play so solidly, which obviously many people have noticed, is notable. I mean, you need to make note of it. That said, you're still I hate to dial it back, but I mean, you're still ending up with the same results. Yeah, the offense is been performing a little bit better, but not well enough. And you think to yourself, if it's 4th and 1.5. And Jacoby Brissett's a bigger guy, and the quarterback sneak had been working really well. And maybe that's who goes in there at that point, even if Kyler's healthy for that play. But if Kyler's in there, you call a different play, and maybe there's a lot of things that go into this. I think too many people are trying to make this a super black and white kind of topic. I do not agree that it's black and white. I understand where people are coming from. I think you can make an argument on both sides. I don't think it's as black and white as everybody says.
Jacoby Brissett had another good game, did not result in a win, which is tough because that's the most important thing. But he did play well. He was 25 of 36, but more than half of his completions were for a first down. Brissett's not the most mobile, which is actually one of his better qualities is his ability to stay in the pocket and withstand those hits and wait for the receivers to break their routes and get the ball out, even with the hand in his face. Brissett still ran the ball 6 times for 26 yards, so he's able to run through the pocket when it's collapsing, and he has to. There's still plays that Brissett's going to want back, rewatching the game of, okay, he had this receiver open, didn't get the ball out quite fast enough, but Brissett has looked very calm under pressure, and he has been poised in the pocket, and that offensive line struggled against the Packers front. Now, Micah Parsons is unlike many in this league. He is tough, not just for the Cardinals O-line, but for any O-line in the league. And the Cardinals did the best that they could in the sense that, Parsons said after the game, I wasn't expecting to be one-on-one as many times as I was. And if you watch it, he wasn't really one-on-one a lot. He was just winning. There were a lot of times that the Cardinals were pulling right guard Will Hernandez to join right tackle Jonah Williams, and they were tag teaming him, and Parsons was so good that he was finding a way to beat both of them. Parsons was one-on-one with Paris Johnson Jr., who for the most part did a pretty good job negating that. And it was more than just Parsons. I mean, Quay Walker had a very good game. It was a tough game for the offensive line.
Gary.
And Brissett did a really nice job staying in the pocket. He took 12 quarterback hits, 6 of those for sacks, and he did a nice job staying poised through that.
I just, on the Parsons thing, I did want to bring this up. Yes, I know because many people showed it to me, and you didn't need to show it to me because I saw it. I understand Micah Parsons said after the game, they left me one-on-one more often. But they left me one-on-one and teams hadn't done that. That doesn't mean they left him one-on-one the whole game. It means that there's a lot of teams that maybe do it 3 times, and the Cardinals might have done it 10 times. That's what that means.
This wasn't Chandler Jones against Taylor Lewan.
No, it was not.
The season opener 21.
I actually went back and watched every single Parsons snap just to get a sense of what was going on. And there were absolutely times when the Cardinals had something set up where there should have been a couple guys dealing with it, and it didn't get dealt with. There were definitely times when there was one-on-one. Most of them felt like they were in the first half against Paris Johnson. Paris did get beat once on a sack. For the most part, I thought he did a decent job when he was going one-on-one with Micah Parsons. At one point, our good cohort, Craig Greeley, wanted to say, yeah, we talked about a certain play, and he's like, yeah, Paris got pushed back. And I'm like, yeah, but on that play, Jacoby still got the pass off, and it still gained 8 yards or whatever it is. And what I told Craig was, I'm not about to be the fundamental police. If Micah Parsons gets blocked and he doesn't make the play, that's all that matters. If we're looking for like beautiful, I think that's the wrong way to look at it. And I think there were times, again, Micah had a very good game. But when I think of a guy wrecking a game, I'm thinking of you're not able to do anything offensively, and the Cardinals were in a position to get the game-winning touchdown in the end. If the Packers had lost the game and Micah Parsons had 3 sacks, who gives a flying fig?
Yeah. Well, it's not like they did anything that the Cardinals weren't expecting. All the offensive linemen talked all week about how he's going to come off both edges, and on third down, guess what? They're going to put him inside. Or you just won't know where he'll be on third down.
And there was that.
And you know what? The Cardinals knew as well that Jeff Hafley, their defensive coordinator for the Packers, was going to stuff Micah Parsons inside. Why? To prevent the chip blocks on the edge. And then we talked in the pregame show about how, man, this would have been a good game to have Tip Ryman. Would have been nice to have Tip Ryman as, that blocking tight end, that wide tight end to be alongside Jonah Williams or Paris Johnson Jr.
That's a topic I love since so many fans want to say that that's a meaningless play.
Yeah, so that was a tough deal. Speaking of Tip Ryman, at the bye week, you review, you go back, and you sort of assess, okay, your keys to the season, right? And I'm reminded of my one key to the season that I gave you, and I sort of cheated.
One key?
Because my one key was actually...
I highly doubt you gave us one key, but okay.
Ultimately, I decided on one key, Dani. It was a process. Trust the process. And it was the one key, though, as I said, I cheated because it was the 12-player draft class that was last year, 2024.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I
remember that podcast.
So
that seems like 6 years ago, Paul.
It does. It really was only 7 games ago. And I threw out there, well, if you get difference-making seasons from Marvin Harrison Jr. and Darius Robinson and Max Melton and Trey Benson and Isaiah Adams and Tip Ryman and Elijah Jones, and that only takes you through round 3. That's how many draft picks were last year. And then the back half of the draft really is headlined by Taylor, or by Rabbit Taylor Demerson, as you look down. And, right there, look, there's room for improvement in the 2024 draft class. No doubt.
No doubt. A handful of those players are hurt.
Yep.
But absolutely, you need more. What has been nice the last few games is seeing the receiver step up. That includes Marvin Harrison Jr. He drew a really important pass interference call, even, against the Packers. So I think that Harrison has looked good. And Zay Jones and Michael Wilson have really stepped up the last 2 weeks when this offense has needed the pass game to get going. The run game has been a frustration all season. Even when you had James Conner healthy, it wasn't able to get rolling off the bat the way we expected based on how last season ended with such intense carryover personnel-wise from the offense. Connor goes down, you have Trey Benson. Benson gets hurt shortly after. Well, then next thing you know, running back Amari DiMercato is hurt. So now the Cardinals with Bam Knight, Michael Carter being signed to the active roster, D'Ernest Johnson, you're on running backs 4, 5, and 6. And that's with an offense that's also playing without their starting quarterback, without their top 2 blocking tight ends. And while it's next man up mentality, this is a pretty different personnel grouping offensively than what this team was planning on having when they were making their playbook and getting everything going at the start of the season. These are different skill sets.
I was going to say earlier, and then we got sidetracked, but when you bring up Michael Wilson and Zay Jones, if I'm Kyler Murray and I've watched the last 2 games like he has with the front row seat and the white stripe, the sideline, my trust is reinforced in those 2 guys to give them a chance to make a play downfield, second and third level. You know, and trust is everything in the whole quarterback, pass catcher dynamic, that chemistry, that relationship. You got to trust when that ball leaves your hand that your guy's going to make a play, or if he doesn't reel in the catch, he's going to prevent an interception. And obviously Michael Wilson and Zay Jones have made some tremendous contested catches, physical catches down the field. They've tracked that ball. So I am curious when Kyler does get healthy, he does get back out on the field, if he's more willing than ever to give those guys a chance to eat.
From that list, cornerback Max Melton and safety Rabbit Taylor Demerson have done a nice job with their reps this year. They have looked good. As a whole, the DBs have looked good. Now, are they giving up a lot of yardage, a lot of pass plays as teams are playing from behind in the fourth quarter? Yes, but the way they've executed for the most part has been good. A player you also need more from is defensive lineman Darius Robinson. He did miss 2 games with a pec injury, but this year so far, he's got 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 quarterback hit. I know that the plan is once you get the rookie, Walter Nolan III out there, that could allow Robinson to maybe shift outside a little bit, maybe pass rush more as opposed to just being involved in the run game. That you need more from 56. There's really no way around it as a former first-round pick.
Yeah, Jonathan Gannon said he looks explosive. That was a direct quote this week. But, you know, we need to hear his name called more during a broadcast. No doubt about it.
He was credited with 3 pressures against the Packers, which he also played his fewer snaps of the year when he was coming back from the pec. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
Hopefully trending up. Sort of like one of us was last week trending up, right? Was it last week I won or the week before?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, Paul.
Okay. Really? Okay.
2 weeks ago.
I can't still hold on to that?
You can hold on to it. We have a gift, Paul.
Yeah. Here we go. Wise guy in 3, 2, 1.
It's time for The Wise Guy, the world's fastest growing Cardinals quiz show. The stakes are low. The winner gets absolutely nothing. Here's your hostess with the mostest, Dani Sureck.
Wise Guy trivia continues even during the bye week. No weeks off.
Yeah, are we sure about this? You know, the no days off, no weeks off, Coach Belichick speaking of. I mean, what could the subject be exactly?
Well,
what would be the theme?
For those who say that we don't want you to win, that's not true. So we're changing things up from football.
Okay.
NBA is about to kick off, so these are basketball-themed questions with the Cardinals tie.
Okay. Could this be more down the center lane for Darren Urban than we're going to talk basketball?
Why don't you shoot the lasers from your eyes from me to our executive producer, Jim O'Mahandra, through the glass, who writes the questions, Paul?
When we get
Jim
around,
O'Mahandra, a big NBA fan, as we all know.
So when we get around to an 18-game season and 2 buys, one of those buys needs to be classic car questions. Okay, let's go. Bring it. I'm ready.
I thought
let's
we
go.
were going to get some tool.
Let's bring it.
Let's bring it.
Let's go.
Number
Darren,
3.
the reigning champ.
Number 3, please.
Number 3.
Where are you going, Alex?
One of the most exciting shots in basketball is the three-pointer. Which Cardinals kicker holds the team record for most consecutive three-pointers, in air quotes,
Wow, look at
without a miss?
Okay.
Hint, he played in the Arizona era.
Oh, I got it.
I'm going to go with Neil Rackers.
Dang it, that was my answer.
Yes, 31
Come on.
consecutive field goals in 2005.
This is amazing. We're recording this on NBA opening night, and we're going to have all this basketball stuff.
Yeah, except we didn't. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. We talked about Mac Wilson Sr. earlier. Number 2.
Number 2. This former Cardinals defender was an honorable mention McDonald's High School All-American basketball player during his senior year of high school in the late 90s.
Okay, I was around those teams. It was Vince Tobin. Let's see, late 90s Cardinals defender, McDonald's high school All-American basketball player. Really? All right, Tommy Knight.
Darren with the possible steal.
It was a defender in the late 90s? Goodness
He went to
gracious.
high school in the late 90s.
He went to high school. Adrian Wilson?
Correct.
No way. Not only did I get it wrong, but we got to give A-Dub props. Are you serious? Really?
Sorry, Paul.
It can always get worse.
Darren, question 1 or 4.
Well, we talked, following Paul's thought process, we talked about Kyler Murray, so I'm going to do number 1.
Number 1.
There's no way A-Dub was a McDonald's All-American basketball player. I mean, honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
Are you sure he didn't add that to his own Wikipedia page?
I think
A-Dub
actually
is capable of doing that.
I think, well, now that I think about it, I think I do have a photo of his little certificate.
Yeah, Mr. 60-inch vertical. Okay, here we go.
Here we go, Darren. Question 1. The father of a former Cardinals offensive player spent 11 seasons playing in the NBA and won a title in 1979. Name both the father and son.
Okay, see, now I have this. The two that Darren got, I knew.
Could you repeat, please?
Sure, because you asked so nicely. The father of a former Cardinals offensive player spent 11 seasons playing in the NBA and won a title in 1979. Name both the father and son.
That would be Lonnie Shelton of the Seattle Supersonics and L.J. Shelton, former tackle.
That sure would be. Darren officially gets the win. Let's just do this question for funsies, Paul.
I mean, come on.
Let's see.
All right.
Maybe you can convince Darren for winner takes all on the final question.
Probably not.
No.
You're not even going to
No,
try.
no.
Okay.
I just want this to end.
Well,
Okay,
hang
here
on
we
a
go.
little longer.
Here we go.
On July 4th, 1986, Cardinals legendary wide receiver and Ring of Honor member Roy Green played in a 3-on-3 event. Do you want me to continue the question?
Roy Green, 3-on-3.
I know the answer to
yeah, I
this.
didn't even know.
Okay.
He played in a 3-on-3 event with NBA stars Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Patrick Ewing, James Worthy, and Johnny Dawkins.
Can I stall long enough to text Roy Green?
You should know this. You
Okay.
should know this.
All
Here
right.
we go. Which well-known monument served as the location for the exhibition?
The Arch?
You got it right. Too bad you didn't convince Darren to do winner takes all.
86. They're in St. Louis. I don't know many other monuments
That
in
was
St.
really-
Louis.
no, that
I'm
was
gonna
good
go.
deductive
Olmo
reasoning.
did do it, so it could have been
Okay.
Old Busch Stadium.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Good deductive reasoning. Darren gets
Okay.
the win.
All right. Darren got the questions. Is
Darren's
what he
sons
got.
would have been so
He didn't-
disappointed if he did not win the basketball-themed Wise Guy trivia.
He got the questions directed to him in at opportune times. That's what he really got. Okay. So it's it is about the play calling. It's not always about the players. It can be about the play
OC
calling.
Dani Sureck.
Yeah. So, all right. Speaking of playmakers, Trey McBride. I just said earlier, I did advise Craig Grillo and Rob Fredrickson. Appreciate what you're seeing, gentlemen. Trey
Yes.
McBride and the caliber of play and what he's doing out there. There are moments and there are players. Adrian Wilson, begrudgingly, was one of those guys where you have to appreciate what you're seeing out on that field. And to be set all these records, and every time a game ends, and he's the Cardinals' leading pass catcher, and then there's another historical record about no tight end has done this in their first 3 or 4 seasons, et cetera, and he really didn't even make much of a mark his first season and a half. Yeah, it's truly been impressive. And what's impressive, too, is how many resources opposing defenses are devoting towards stopping Trey McBride, and they can't do it.
He's talked a lot about that recently, and yet he's been really good the last few weeks. Sunday, Paul, is National Tight Ends Day.
Is it? Okay.
So I don't know if you
Oh,
celebrate.
and there's no game.
So there's Tight End U, and then there's National Tight Ends Day.
Yes.
Man, masterful marketing. Who's Don't tell me it's Kelsey. Who's responsible? Is it Kittle?
It's Kittle.
Kittle. Okay.
I mean, Kelsey's in there, but I think Kittle's pushing the train, which, hey, that's just smart. I mean, it's almost like somebody who has the name Paul putting all these names after himself to promote his own brand.
Stop. I already.
That's what Calvisi Consulting is telling Paul to do.
That's true. I keep forgetting.
He's
got people in his ear.
Don't need to rub it in. So National Tight End Day. Now, is that a detriment because the Cardinals are on a bye? That's not cool.
I mean, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of content because Trey's going to be off those days. But here's my question, very serious now. Like, and you're down on the field seeing this like up close and personal, but like, is he the best tight end in the league right now? I mean, Brock Bowers has dealt with injuries all year.
Yep.
Kelsey's older. Kittle has been hurt. Kittle played a game without a catch the other day. Like, I think it might have been the first time since he was a rookie or something.
He's the 49ers' true blocking tight end.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, he's still a very good player, but like, Laporta is good, but
inconsistent. Laporta's, as someone who has him on the Paulie Pigskins, the fantasy football team, Laporta's inconsistent. I wish I had Trey McBride.
I mean, there are a lot of really
do.
good tight ends, but I don't know. I feel like I need to pause that for there you go.
Dani said, "Light the lamp for her."
There are a lot of good tight ends on there. Kincaid, the kid from Dallas,
Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren is really good.
Tyler Warren is up and coming,
but Tyler Warren isn't Trey McBride yet, in my opinion.
No. You know, McBride is his own sideshow. You talk about the sidelines, like just if you're ever bored, just put an eye on Trey McBride. All right, just in the last two games, they're chipping him with a defensive end at Indianapolis. There were a couple times he came to the sideline. He barely made it to the 30-yard line, which is the edge of the player's box, and he went down to a knee and put his arm on his helmet. And all the trainers went over, "Man, you all right? You all right?" He said, "Yeah, I just need a minute." I mean, it was physical. The back of his jersey was torn. After the game, he wasn't even wearing a shirt. You know why? Because he had this massive scrape just along his back from that turf in Indianapolis. And then you had the game, this most recent game, and it was the first touchdown catch that glanced off his fingertips. Man, was he hot. He came to the sidelines, pounded the bench with a pad on it, thankfully. He's smart enough to make sure there's a pad on that metal bench. And he pounded that. He has a lot of fits in him that way. He can make 10 catches on 11 targets. It's the one target he didn't reel in that sticks with him. And he's so mad at himself, and he goes out there and then he takes it out on the defense. And then there were other moments where after his touchdown, he threw his gloves up to some kid, 5-year-old in the front row. Kid dropped it. He ran over there himself, didn't wait for like a ball boy or something. He ran over there himself and gave it to the kid. I'm like, Trey, you got people for that. Come on, you don't have to do that. He thoroughly enjoys playing the game, and nobody competes like Trey.
McBride is one of the players that's, when we have a look at who they are off the field, it almost makes me laugh because when you see him walk around the facility, he always has a smile on his face. Like, he has a very positive outlook on life. He is always willing to sit and chat with us, even about non-football things. And then McBride gets on the field, and he's one of the nastiest players in the game. And he likes to talk his fair share of trash talk. And then you see who he is off the field. And that's a great instance of going out of his way to make sure that the kid in the front row got the gloves. It's been impressive to see not just the big picture trend that McBride has had to get to this point, but with all this attention from defenses, he is still reliable. He still has that big catch radius, strong hands, refuses to go down on first contact, and he's already got multiple receiving touchdowns, which was quite a struggle last year. Didn't find the end zone until week 16, 17 last year. I like that this offense is getting McBride more involved as they move the chains, and then also in the red zone. And you really need that player without James Conner, who's going to incite emotion from this team and make sure that they are still in it and they're energized, and that is McBride.
What do you get your wife for National Tight Ends Day there, Paulie?
The same thing I got her for our anniversary.
Oh, dear.
Just still pending. That's to be determined.
Stuff's going on.
So, all right, we had some free advice on defense. What was our suggestion? If you're going to make tweaks in the bye, maybe blitz Mack Wilson Sr. a little bit more. Unleash some of his pass rush skills a little bit. Trey McBride, can I say this? For everything he's done, especially getting to the end zone versus last year, you know what we have not seen as much this year? Yards after catch. We haven't seen any hurdles. Our defense is doing a better job of corralling him and rallying to the ball, rallying to 85. Is it just me? He hasn't broken as many tackles, hasn't had as much space to work with.
He had that nice spin move on his touchdown this week.
Yes, true. So there's evidence of when he's in space, right? The first guy never brings him down. So I don't know, maybe a couple more tight end screens. You know, if there's a suggestion box on the offensive side of the ball, some more tight end screens. You know, dare I say it, a bubble screen? I know everyone's, sick of bubble screens in the Cardinals offense, but if it's going to 85 and he's got a head of steam, usually good things happen.
I'd have to look at the numbers from last year, but the last 3 games I've looked, he's got 29, 24, 28 yards after catch, which is leading the team. The week prior, okay, so starting in Seattle, he only had 12 yards after catch. So I'm not sure what he was averaging last year, but that's probably something he wants to improve on after the bye week.
Speaking of the division there, Seahawks, Niners, Rams, all 5-2. There was some graphic on the ESPN morning show, NFC North, best division in NFL. You sure? Sure about that? I get it.
Like, when was that graphic?
Yeah, it was earlier today. It was after Monday Night Football. So I'm like, I get it. The Lions and and even the Bears are 4-2.
4-2 last year, and then it all melted away.
Yeah. By the way, you want a hot take? Do you know the hot take a couple of weeks ago after the Tennessee loss on CBS Sports? I never watched CBS Sports Network, but they tweeted out one of those studio shows, and a former player, he equated the Cardinals' loss to the Titans, the manner in which that happened, to the Fail Mary by the Bears against Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, Tyreek Stevenson.
Ooh, they really struck a chord with you there.
And they likened that, just the shock factor of losing a game in that fashion and what it did to the rest of the year. And what happened? Bears lost 10 in a row.
I agree with that.
And even worse, Tyreek Stevenson found himself on your list
there you go.
of incompetence.
Power pole of ineptitude.
Once we got away from that season, though, I understand that was a rough way to lose, and everybody in the moment wanted to say it put them in a tailspin. But then we see way later that Caleb Williams and the coaching staff absolutely didn't connect whatsoever.
True.
And it's just me.
Yeah.
But my guess is the losing streak had way more to do with the quarterback and the coaching staff not being on the same page than one bad loss.
Facts. I would agree with that.
I mean, it's fun to talk about because that's what's out there in the public, but it's usually what's not out there in the public that actually undermines a team in the end.
So would you go, here was another question I heard posed. Would you go with the Chiefs and the Eagles, or would you go with the Colts and the Lions, meaning the old guard or the new guard to represent the AFC and NFC?
If you had to go one way or the other?
One way or the other right here, right now. Would you go Chiefs and Eagles, last year's Super Bowl combatants who are surging again, or would you go Colts and Lions?
I'd go Colts and Lions. Change it up. With the exception of against the Cardinals, the Colts have been a fun team to watch this year.
Don't get me wrong. I think I would be more interested in seeing Colts Lions.
It's not who you want. Who would you pick?
I think the Chiefs and Eagles, because I think the Chiefs are rounding into, again, this is assuming they stay healthy. I think the Chiefs are starting to look a lot like Chiefs of like 3-4 years ago. And I'm not sure who in the AFC is necessarily going to keep up with that when it's all said and done. I think the Lions are better than the Eagles right now, but I don't think it's that far away. And if the thing about the Eagles is what happened to Saquon Barkley? Is it all offensive line? We want to talk about what happened to the Cardinals' run game. The Eagles' run game has disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah. And tangentially off that, I thought I'd bring this up. What did everybody say last year about Barkley? They said he was going to take a big step back because of all the touches he made, correct?
Sure.
Christian McCaffrey is on pace for 450 touches this year. It would be like the 7th most in all-time history.
Wow.
And if you look at the list of the guys that end up having that many touches in a season, which Saquon didn't even make that list, every one of those guys fell off the face of the earth almost immediately after. Like
the Earl Campbells of the world.
Earl Campbells, James Wilder of the old school Bucks.
Sure, wow.
DeMarco Murray.
Yeah. Can I say this, by the way? Those 4 teams we just named, you know what they all have in common? Excellent offensive lines. And they have go-to generational offensive linemen that they run behind in money moments. Kansas City has Trey Smith, the right guard. They just made the highest paid guard in the league. You look at the Eagles. Either the Eagles or the Lions still have the best offensive line in the game.
Yeah.
Colts, probably top 10, and Quentin Nelson is a Hall of Fame guard.
Yes.
So when we argue about 4th and 1.5 and the quarterback sneak, to me, it's not the decision to go for it. That's the NFL in 2025. You got to be aggressive. You don't want, and it's not even the play call necessarily. Although when they ran the extra defensive lineman in there and they stacked the interior of the box, that was a tough deal. To me, it's the same thing that plagued you at times last year. Who's the go-to offensive lineman you're going to run it behind? Who's, in Jonathan Gannon's words, the war daddy offensive lineman you're going to run behind? Even week 17 last year at the Rams, you remember early in that game, Cardinals were driving, about to take the lead. They get into the Rams red zone. It's 4th and 1. We're going for it. We're here to win the game. Give it to James Conner. Stuffed. Drop for a loss. Who are you running behind? Will Hernandez at the beginning of last year before he got hurt, he was that guy. If you can have that player to run behind, the Panthers had Rob Hunt, for example, right? Just an elite all-pro guard. So to me, that's the key part of the equation for a lot of these teams and these contenders, and especially play calls like that.
Although,
anyway.
and I just want to dial up, finishing up one thing you just asked about the best division in football. I'm trying to understand how a division with 3 5-2 teams and a 2-5 team that has lost all their games by what they've lost and has a minus. How could that not be the best division? Even the team in last place is like causing a ruckus with whoever they play.
Two of those divisional losses for the Cardinals came by walk-off field goals. You lost by 1 point.
Well, just remember, the E in ESPN stands for East Coast bias. And that brings us to winning behavior.
I see you! Let's go!
Can you display winning behavior? You have to consistently display winning behavior.
That's winning behavior.
You got to define what winning behavior is and hold people to that standard.
Yes!
Who am I to speak about winning behavior? What do I know about that? I just lost wise guy again. So I kick it to Dani.
Before I want Dani to have her moment.
Okay.
But I have 2 quickies off the page.
Please, here we go.
I want to throw out there. One, Sam Levitt, winning behavior. Arizona State.
I'll give you
over
that
Texas
one.
Tech.
No doubt.
I also want to give winning behavior to our old teammate Jonathan Hayward. Paul remembers Jonathan. I believe that was before your time, Dani. Johnny is in a new band, Suit Yourself. We went and saw him. And when you want to talk about winning behavior, and I told him this, he plays drums, does some singing. They had their first gig. And watching him with a giant smile as he's playing, it just reminds me of, and I told him this, like, find something in your life that while you're doing it, you have a giant smile. And I'm guessing that's what happens when you're messing around with your cars, Paul.
When they're running.
Yeah. Well, not your daily drivers. Yeah. But I want to shout out Johnny because he was living his best life.
It's true. He's like the Trey McBride of drumming. Always a smile on his face. You know what I mean? What's the name of his new band, by the way?
Suit Yourself.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
EP is available everywhere.
There you go. Nice. Okay. Is there a segue to your shoe repairman? Because if there is, I'm incapable.
So when I put this on the rundown, it was intentionally as a funny story, and it's not so funny anymore. So long story short, on Sunday, I realized once I got to the stadium, I was accidentally given the wrong pair of shoes from the shoe repairman.
Oh no!
This gets so much better.
So yeah, you're like, oh gosh, I feel like this is only me. So I'm gonna do my best to consolidate this. I dropped off a pair of short black leather pointed toe booties. So a little heel, like a little boot. Okay. So thankfully the shoes I was wearing that weren't mine, I was at least wearing socks. So that's good and clean. I went to pick up my boots late last Thursday and I didn't try them on when I was there. I grabbed them. I took them home. I tried them on with my game day outfit with my pants on Friday to see if the pants would be short enough with that extra heel or would they be dragging the floor. And I put the boots on and I had this thought of like, are these my shoes? And I'm like, that's crazy, right? I just haven't worn them in a year because I wear them in the fall and the winter. And so then I get dressed on game day and I put the shoes on again and I'm like, these feel kind of small, but like, what are the odds that someone else has my exact shoe? So I go to the stadium, and then I'm about to put the headset on to go live on air for our first pregame radio show. And I'm like, I know I'm driving myself crazy, but I think I'm right. I looked through an old video because 2 or 3 years ago I had done like a day in the life vlog for the Cardinals, and I know that Kyle Deroni had a shot of me, like a full body, and I remember the outfit I was wearing. So I look with Cody Fincher, one of our producers, and you can see on the still frame the way I'm standing, my shoe has a silver zipper on the inside of the foot. And I look down, and the shoe that I'm wearing has a black zipper on the heel.
So this is like CSI shoe repair at this point.
And then I sit down, I put the headset on, and I go, I'm wearing someone else's shoes. So then it was a long day because my shoes are like 6.5, and I was in size 5s for 10 hours. Like 2 days later, I'm not exaggerating. My feet are still sore. My toes were like curled. We sit down for post-game press conferences, and I sit next to Darren. I can't feel my toes. So
she was in a bad place, people.
At this
Bad
point- at
place.
this
So
point,
she went to defensive coordinator Nick Rawls and said, I lost a shoe.
Yeah, really. So the shoe repair is closed Sunday and Monday. So I kept trying to call, and there wasn't a way to leave a voicemail. And I sent an email because they have like a contact us page on the website. So I tried to reach out. I'm thinking, this is a crazy story. Well, this is unfortunately where the story is no longer so funny.
Oh, boy.
So I called the shoe repair
Okay.
Tuesday.
Okay. It can always get
And
worse.
look, this is a small local business, so I don't want to share the name and put them on blast and ruin somebody's life. That's not my intention. So I called Tuesday and I say, hey, I tried to reach out. I was given the wrong shoes. Are you able to see if you have mine? And he's like, I haven't found them. Like, well, look when you come later today. And I'm like, I don't want to wait till after work. So during my lunch break on Tuesday, before we filmed this, Darren, in hindsight, claimed that I went to do this during my lunch break so that I had content for the podcast. So I go to the shoe repair. And
this is its own podcast, by the way, but
yeah,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. This is a long story. So pretty much, he doesn't have my shoes. I'll save you the trouble. He was incredibly rude and disrespectful. He put the blame on me that he didn't tag my shoes. Which means he gave my shoes to someone else. I brought the shoes back because they're not mine and they don't fit.
Let's get the money quote. That's what the podcast is for. You didn't say who it was. You can still give the money quote.
So he was looking through the bins for my shoes, and he was saying, if you want to complain about the job we do or the customer service, like people are happy. And I was like, I don't think you do a bad job. I just want my shoes. He's looking through the bins. He goes, well, I can't do anything for customers that have mental problems. I said, excuse you?
That's great.
So long story, still long, but I'll make it short. He doesn't have my shoes. He was incredibly rude to me until another customer walked in, and that was the first moment he apologized for his mistake. I mean, like, I told him it wasn't my size, and I had to pick up a second pair of shoes, and he didn't believe me. He grabbed the soles of my shoe and the other shoe and put them together, and then he was silent because my shoes were a size 6.5, and I was wearing 5s. And he was trying to blame me. So when the other customer walked in, he apologized and said to give him 3 days to see if someone returns it. But I'm not going to leave without cash or a check. And here's the best part, which tells you everything you need to know. He says to me, if I find another pair of shoes that's similar in your size, will you just take those? So again, I don't want to ruin someone's life who has a small business. If you want, you can message me and I can tell you where not to go. But I have a feeling I will not be getting my shoes back.
So we're saying that's not winning behavior.
Not winning behavior.
I feel like we should finish.
I'm sorry,
on
that was a
behavior
really
on
long.
That was.
Yeah. Sorry.
But
Yeah.
but there
you
was a
needed
lot
to know
built
the
up.
details.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
it was a funny, like, unbelievable story. Now it's not so funny anymore.
well, the mental problems.
Well, that was gonna
that
say.
was funny. Yes. Okay.
I mean, not to Dani.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So if we want winning behavior, are we talking about my picks in week 7? Is that what we're doing?
Oh,
Darren?
yeah,
Was
that's true.
That was
you know
your
what?
segue,
that was
right?
a solid segue,
Yes.
Paul. It's almost like you've done this before. Yeah. Paul went 11-3 this week.
How about that? Give me the
I'm
light.
back to third place.
He is pulled within one game of myself. I went 10-4, thank God, because I'd been really sucking. Dani went 8-6.
Let me tell you what my
surprised.
problem was.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I didn't trust my gut. So last year, Aaron Rodgers screwed me over every time I chose him with the New York Jets. And I think to myself, if there's a game...
now you sound like the shoe repair guy. You're,
Paul,
you're blaming
no.
other people.
Nope. If there's a game where I'm going to go against what I always do, it's the Browns and the Steelers.
Yeah.
It's Joe Flacco and the Browns, right? Wrong. So I went with the Steelers, and let this be a reminder to myself and a listen to all. Please take my ISO cam. Men never change. I cannot trust Aaron Rodgers.
That's fair.
So that's my own fault.
So overall, I am 65 and 35. I'm just going to blow right past that comment. 64 and 36 for Paul. And Dani at 62 and 38. This is still a tight race, ladies and gentlemen.
Men never change. You know what? I own that comment because I still won't take the Seahawks or the 49ers in any of my picks. I refuse to believe, and I paid the price. 2 of my 3 losses were in the division. So I think I need to start believing a little bit more in our NFC West neighbors.
I'm just hoping Dani can find a good pair of shoes this weekend for her bye.
And if not, we'll have to check the depth chart in case, she loses a shoe.
Her shoe depth chart.
That's right. There we go. That'll do it for Cardinals Underground. I think that was Underground Extra today, all brought to you by Pacific Office Automation.